welcome back to Property Focus, the show that shows you the most fascinating properties in the market and the latest in property market insights. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be looking at decorative paint, what's going on over here, and how it differs from standardized paint. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to welcome you to the show. My name is Peter Ngigi. And super duper, now we're going to be looking at decorative paint and standardized paints and what you need to know about decorative paint with the man himself, Juan Charles. How are you doing, boss?
I'm good.
Good, good. Welcome to Property Focus.
Welcome to the home of classic interiors.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, briefly introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Charles Nderito Muturi. I am an interior designer and color consultant with Classic Moldings. So basically what we do is we come into your space with the people who come into your space and advise you on what colors best complement what you have, and we see and envision what you'd like us to bring into the space.
Brilliant. Let's start with the basics now. Tell me, what is the difference between decorative paint and standardized paint?
To understand this, you'd have to understand what a decorative paint is. Yes. So these are textured paints, either visually or in terms of feel. That this is in order to add character or feel into your space while adding beauty and equally adding durability to the substrate.
Right.
Yes. So the difference would come in terms of one, appearance, application, and the outward outlook of this paint. So when you're looking at decorative paints, they have a more meticulous way of application in comparison to the usual normal paint, because these take a more meticulous way of finishing. They take a bigger and more meticulous preparation. That is in terms of what kind of skimming are you doing. It has to be finer in comparison to when you're working with the normal paints. Then in terms of outlook, these paints are more visually aesthetic in comparison to the normal paints, because you get that they have different kind of finishing, that you get better sheen, you get more preservation to the substrate. Yeah. So if you're working with normal
let's just pause there. The substrate, you've used that word.
Yeah.
What is a substrate? Just for our viewers' sake.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Substrate is the surface on which you're applying the paint. Could be a wall, could be maybe say a stool. So that's the substrate, the surface on which you're applying. Yes. So yeah, if you're working with when you're working with our textured paints, well, in terms of the kind of outlook that you get, the final outlook of this paint, you get something that is lovelier, that is more outstanding when you use textured paints in comparison to when you're using the normal paints.
Well answered. Now, what factors to consider when you're putting decorative paint? What are some of those factors?
Well, one, like we mentioned, the preparation. This has to be top notch. It has to be, when it comes to skimming, has to be smooth finishing when you're using especially metallic finishes. Well, you also have to consider what kind of what's your vision as the client. What do you want as the outcome if you're going to use textured paints? Because there are variety. There are many types. Some might be metallic in terms of finish. You get some that are very rustic if you're looking for something that actually looks like rust. There are textured paints that actually match this. Are you looking for something with a stone finish? Are you looking for something that has that concrete outlook? We have something for you. So those some factors to consider would be the aesthetic feel that you're going for in your space. Yeah, what do you want? What is the final outcome that you're looking for? So, well, equally you have to consider what's the use of the space, because some of these paints, they really don't like too much contact. But
so are you saying it's easier to clean them, or maybe even the fumes, it's eco-friendly?
They're eco-friendly. That would be one. All our paints, they're water-based, eco-friendly. Two, they're very easy to maintain. Yeah, majority of which are very easy to maintain. So if you're working with textured paints, that's another factor you should consider. So equally, what kind of maintenance are you looking at doing? Are you someone who's are you meticulous in terms of maintenance? Or are you looking for something that is easy to work with in terms of maintenance? So that's another factor.
So you've got different designs here in this showroom.
Yeah.
What are some of the different techniques and what are the different styles that you're using? Yeah. Tell me about that.
So when it comes to technique,
yes,
you cannot talk about technique without checking on one, what is the mode of application. So our paints have different techniques of application depending on what are you looking at getting in the final design. So you look around our showroom and you'll see
this is so beautiful.
Yeah, you see that beautiful thing over there. Yeah. So to achieve that, one, there's some that are brush applied, and with this you get the visual of something like the strokes of the brush. As you drive the brush, it leaves behind some stroking that is the aesthetic of that paint. You get others that are flat and they give you some sort of a sheen, a mirror-like sheen. Yeah? So for that is, if I may, I would say an example of stucco, a product that we have here. So with that, as you drive the trowel, it kind of polishes the paint, so you're able to get that kind of sheen. So if you're looking at something heavy, we have something like a stencil design. Stencil designs is where we do some a kind of pattern on top of these paints that kind of give a very intricate pattern that we call that stencil. You get a kind of film that we use, and on top of that we drive our material over, and it leaves a very unique shape. When you talk about styles and how we do it, we have some of them that are easy to the eye, easy to the feel. If I may get a bit technical, I'll talk about one of our designs. We call it spatolato. It's one of our most subtle design. It gives you a kind of velvety feel. Spatolato. We will talk about brocato. Brocato is equally, these are finishes that you get when you're using the metallic paints.
Sounds Italian.
Yeah, it's a kind of borrowed from. Yeah. So you're using our metallic paints and these designs, if you're going for subtle designs that give you either the brocato design, that gives you that kind of velvet feel, I give you the damascato, that gives you a kind of floral feel. If you're looking for something heavy, we could talk about the stencil designs. So they're versatile. Our paints are so versatile. There's so many ways that you can do them.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, speaking of designs, how do you choose the right colors for your palette? Let's say you want to do an accent wall, feature wall. How do you choose the right colors? Well, because here you've got peach and orange.
Yes. Yeah? And it works really great.
And it works really good.
Yeah. So if you're looking at selecting the color, one is, if you're working with a client, the first question is, what colors complement you best? Because you see, the process of painting a home, you I call it dressing the home. Because you see, you're choosing colors that you're not going to wake up to every day. So the process first is, what colors complement you best as a client? So from that, we're able to now work down with, we come into your space and we check the lighting. Do your colors work with the lighting? Because that lighting and colors go hand in hand. I might give you a very lovely color, because all colors are lovely, broadly. They're all lovely colors. Yes. And then once we go into your space, the kind of lighting you have there does not really work for the color, because it causes shadowing and you can't really feel or see the color. So that's another factor to consider. What kind of lighting do you have? Equally, you have to consider, with the type of lighting, what kind of hue does the light give off? Because under different lighting, a color looks different. Under warm lighting, under yellow lighting, you get something that is totally different. So that's another factor to consider. What kind of lighting do you have? Equally, I talked about maintenance. Well, once there are colors that are easier to maintain than others, because they I'll say they kind of hide off the dust. If depending on the room that you're working with, they kind of hide that dust, and dirt too. Because if you're working with a brown color, say a very deep brown color, once you see people touch that color, it kind of hides what is left behind, the kind of dirt that is left behind, in comparison to a lighter color. Or let's talk about white. If you've been in a white room, you know the minute you touch the wall, then definitely you leave markings behind. So that's another factor to consider. Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant.
Well answered. Now, lastly, in terms of mistakes people make, what should people avoid? There are people who are watching and they just don't know what to do. They don't know what they're doing wrong. What can you advise them?
Well, let's start from some of the mistakes that people make when they're working with decorative paints. One would be color selection. When, like I said, you're looking at your room. What kind of lighting do you have? So if you choose a dark color for a dark room, that's one of the mistakes you make. So how do you handle that? bring in professionals from the point of go. You consult with professionals, color consultants, interior designers. You bring them into the space before you now decide on what color you settle on. Secondly would be the process of preparation. How do you prepare that surface to receive their decorative paint? You see how you say when you're choosing land, it's location, location, location. Well, when you're dealing with paint, it's preparation, preparation, preparation. Because the surface will have to be ready, and you have to, like I said, fine skimming. Some people will just buy paint and go apply on the wall, and once you do that, some of the very minute, very small mistakes kind of start showing off after you've done the paint. Now they're not easy to hide after you've done the paint, so you're now forced to either fix that or live with it. And if you're a perfectionist, you definitely don't live with it, so you spend more. Yeah, so that's another mistake. When you're doing your paint, there is the process of finishing. How meticulous are you with the finishing? You get that the edges, when you're working on paint and there are two walls that are kind of meeting at a point, how do you do that finishing? How fine is that finishing? That's another thing that people really ignore, and definitely that's something that should be given a better eye if you may.
So how do you check with the labor in that case? I know we're just throwing one in the... How do you know somebody's qualified to do that? To do that?
Well, if you've been on ground for as long as we have, you definitely see, you gotta get used to seeing such errors. You walk into a space and you're like, wow, the fundi, huh? Or whoever did this. The fundi. So that's it. So how tuned are you to seeing such minor errors?
Super.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
Oh, Charles, well answered.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming onto the show.
Thank you.
There you go. Preparation, preparation, preparation. And also just getting the right color technocrat to just help you paint your walls and have it looking as beautiful as this is looking. We're going to take a short commercial break. More with Charles as we just see how to just do a decorative painted wall. Stay tuned.
We're looking at doing one stencil that we call a Mandala medallion.
Mandala medallion.
Yes.
All right.
So with our substrate, we have our tools of application. So we have basic tools of application. We have what we call a stainless steel trowel. We have a sponge, a special density sponge too. We have our primer, and we have the brush. So this basically goes to the process of preparation. So what we have is a clean surface on which we're going to start by priming. So basically the primer kind of gives that adhesiveness of the surface to whatever we're going to come and apply.
Right.
So primers usually are white in color.
Yes.
So this is our primer. That's what you're looking at. That's a primer. Process of application is just by brush application. So you're going to dip that in there. You're going to come here and you're going to do your...
So this is the foundation, the substrate.
This is the first application of the primer to the substrate.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
All right. So now you've painted this. This is the primer. You're done with this.
Yes, this is the primer.
Okay.
So let's talk a bit more about the primer. So when you're working with the primer, depending on the product, there's some products are what you call single coat products. That is, you're only using one coat to cover what for the final finish. So when you're working with the single coat product, you might find that we pigment our primer so that you now save on the material that you're going to use for the final.
This word pigment, it's a very big word. What does that mean?
So pigment is a process of adding color.
Yes.
Adding color to your primer or even paint, so that now you get the different colors that you get in paint. Might be a yellow, might be a red.
Yes.
So that's the process that we call that pigmenting.
Okay.
Yes.
Brilliant. Now, from here, what next?
Well, we're now going to our first coat.
Yes.
The first coat, which now we're using a product we call tamaduni.
Okay.
Tamaduni has a special layer of application.
Right.
You now move away from the brush.
Yes.
And we're now coming to the stainless steel trowel. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So this has dried.
This has dried.
This is a primer.
This is a primer.
So we take the trowel.
Yes.
Okay. Is this a trowel as well?
That is a trowel.
Okay.
They come in different sizes depending on what you're comfortable with.
Okay.
You get these that is bigger or
Yes.
this that is smaller.
All right.
Yes.
So with the trowel, then you just apply it on the primer.
Yes.
To just get an even surface.
Yes. But this is our tamaduni. So this gives you that kind of heavy texture to the eye and to the touch.
All right.
And go onto the surface.
So go onto the surface.
Just spread it evenly.
So we're done with this.
Yes, we're done.
So now we are putting on the decorative stencil.
Yes.
Super.
So
All right.
this is, remember the Madala medallion?
Yes.
That's what we said that was the finishing stencil. So this is it. This is the Madala medallion, very lovely stencil. So that's kind of, when you're done, it kind of leaves what you see, or what is cut out on your board, or in the client's case, the wall. Yes. So this is it.
All right.
Yeah.
So we need to put this up.
Yeah.
So this is more, you said Modana?
Madala medallion.
Madana medallion.
Madala medallion.
Madala medallion.
Yeah.
All right.
Kind of has, usually a medallion is kind of round, so
Yes.
gets that from its shape.
It's shaped.
Yeah.
All right. Super.
Now we said we're going to do our finish in
Yes.
our white paste. Same paste as the tamaduni. It's white because, as I said, you pigment your first coat. If you're doing a brighter color
Yes.
in the medallion. That way, it's more visible. So we're going to get our white paste.
All right.
And that's what we're now going to plaster on
See
top
how
of
we're
that.
going to do this. We're going to
Right.
plaster the white paint on top of this. Let's see how this looks. See how this comes out. Can't wait to see how it's going to come out. So sometimes people leave it like that just for the artistic feel. So you don't have to really feel it up. So Bwana Philip, Charles, let's see how it's going to come out. Oh man, that looks so beautiful. That looks amazing. This looks amazing, very beautiful. Now that we've used this stencil, do we need another one? Or can this be recyclable?
This is definitely reusable.
Okay.
But now, if you're looking for a more complementary design,
Yes.
you can now marry more than one stencil
Yes.
onto your design.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
So, for example, if you may, we have one on that
On this side.
on that side.
All right. So we've got this here.
Yes.
And we'll need to just pin it, right?
Yeah. Just
Okay, so let's pin it here.
Make sure it's comfortable for you.
Okay.
You drop it. So going up, let's say from
Going-
here. Start here again.
Okay,
Going up.
going up.
Yes.
Right. Super. So can we leave it at that just to see what we've done?
First of all, you take out the excess material from the trowel.
Okay, here you go.
Yes. Then clean a lot of excess.
Literally, people can do this. Me, I can see couples doing this and children doing this. It's complicated, but it's also simple and it's fun.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Which is a good idea for an event also. Huh? All right. So Charles,
Ready?
Yes. Let's see what we've done over here.
Yeah, let's get a view.
Wonderful. Superb.
Voila.
Voila. Super amazing, man. This looks really, really good. Charles, we've learned a lot about decorative paint, and I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on board.
It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it, sir. And Philip, thank you very much. The Fundi. Good. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, remember preparation, preparation, preparation at all times, and always get a color technician to just show you how to do this the right way. This has been Property Focus. My name is Peter Ngigi. Till next week, goodbye.